for all that you're on here. Hopefully everybody enjoyed the first part of the meeting. I certainly found it quite good actually. So the second part of the meeting, what we're going to do is we're going to open the floor here at the gym. And I know you're going to try and introduce him because I know he's an absolute font of information. No? Oh, is that the one? I'm sorry. I know he's an absolute font of information, and I know it's going to be quite an education process that we're going to undertake here. Don't you have too much? Oh, right. Well, I'll enjoy the next 20 minutes. Alright, I'm going to hand you over to Jim here.
Good evening. If you don't mind, I'll stand up. I might move about a bit because I used to be a firearm, so that I'm moving cabinets. My name is Jim Duffy, yes, and the emphasis here is I'm a retired policeman. I don't work for the force anymore. I see the direction in which they're going. I don't really care about that much anymore, but I know they have a very difficult job to do. One thing I'll never do during my presentations is criticise them because they carry out the laws that are passed by the Parliament. They don't make laws. They're unfortunately fighting crime at the moment with two arms and a leg tied behind their back. And the days are getting knocked off the other foot. Anyway, why is that a retired policeman? I was in the force from 1975 to 2007. I spent the last 5 years of the service as chairman of the Police Federation, which is the police officers' union, for want of a better word. We're all allowed to go and strike, but we negotiate for various things, look after the welfare and efficiency of the members. Prior to that, I worked in Strathclyde Police for 22 years as a traffic officer. People usually do at that point. I've often, people say to me, what's the difference between a traffic officer and a terrorist? Well, you can negotiate with a terrorist. But I don't have a drugs background. I've never smoked a joint in my life. But
What do you mean you're tired?
see driving a nice big car with somebody that's there for 140 miles an hour, it makes me chill. Why am I standing up here saying who do I represent? I represent an organisation called LEAP, Law Enforcement Against Prohibition. Who are we? We are serving and retired police officers, drug enforcement agency people, legislators, lawyers, prosecutors, advocates, former chief constables, ordinary police. And what do we all have in common? We all know that the war against drugs is lost and completely unwinnable. We've been fighting the war on drugs in this country since 1971, when we passed the Misuse of Drugs Act, following slavishly on from their cousins across the water in America. 1971, by my rough calculation, that was 46 years ago. And as you all know, the Misuse of Drugs Act was an outstanding success, because there are no drugs in the country. No. Drugs have never been more plentiful, and they've been cheaper, and they've never been easier to get. And if we've been doing that for 46 years, not making a difference, then it's wrong, and we need to do something else. Albert Einstein was a man who said insanity, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
I would agree with that one.
Thank you, Mr. Lack. Can you come at my next meeting as well? We have, for 46 years, fought the war on drugs. Very, very, very successful. For a long time when I was in the police, I was caught up in it. I believed that everyone who took drugs was a miscreant, deserved the jail, and we needed more powers. We needed to arrest more people, we needed to build more jails, and we needed longer sentences, we needed to put more people away. And it didn't make a blind bit of difference. 1975, when I joined, we talked about a tenner bag. I left 32 years later, still talking tenner bags. Inflation would have made that £147. It doesn't run off the tongue the same way. So it tells you that drugs have got cheaper and have got more plentiful. We didn't have drug problems in this country back in the 60s, same as they didn't have them in America until 1914. Prior to 1914, America, you could go and buy heroin at a chemist. You could buy an ounce of heroin for $4.35. And then they did a thing very southern America and they discovered that 1.3% of the population were addicted to drugs. So they passed a law called the Harrison Act. And the Harrison Act in America was the most racist piece of legislation you've ever seen in life. It made it illegal for the Chinese man to smoke opium. Not the white man, the Chinese man. So if you went into an opium den and there were 6 white people smoking opium and 2 Chinese men, the 2 Chinese chappies go to jail and white men didn't. That's how bad it is. So they did some more surveys. 1971, or prior to 1970, some of the people in the audience here are old enough to remember a politician in America called Richard Milhouse Nixon. Tricky Dicky. Tricky Dicky was standing for the White House and he needed a law and order book. So he came up with a war on drugs. So they did a survey at that time and they discovered that 1.3% of the population were addicted to drugs. So Nixon and his advisors weren't particularly interested in that. What they wanted to do was disrupt the black community and the Hispanic community. So they started the war on drugs. So jump forward to 2013, have another survey in America. Guess what percentage of the population are addicted to drugs? 1.3%. It hasn't changed. It has not changed. But what have we done? In the United States of America between 1972 and 2009, they arrested and put in jail for non-violent drug offences 39 million people. 8 times the population of Scotland go to jail for non-violent drug offences. And you have people in America who are in prison just now for 3 possessions of cannabis and they're going to spend the rest of their natural life behind bars for smoking something that grows in the ground. Not a manufactured drug. 3 joints, cheerio, life in prison. And that's because there's a huge business market in America to build more jails. And they build them privately so they make money out of them. So you have people lobbying to pass harsher drug laws so that more people can get arrested, populate the jails, and work for the people in the jails. But let's go back to the UK a wee bit. Prior to 1971, you could get heroin on the NHS. Doctors could prescribe it to you, but they didn't have a hard drugs problem. You were more likely to die from falling down the stairs than you were after drugs overdose. But we followed the Americans and we brought in the Misuse of Drugs Act, and we brought in other pieces of legislation. And most of the people in the audience here will have some knowledge of Prohibition in the United States in the 1929 to 1933, they had Prohibition in the States. Who was the guy that came out of Prohibition that everybody remembers? Al Capone. Oxymoron was another good. Al Capone. And how did he make his money? Bootlegging alcohol, which they had banned. And after 4 years, they came to their senses and decided, no, we're not having this. And most of those people, in fact, murder rate in America dropped to 75% when Prohibition was done away with. We didn't have any problems with drugs up until the 70s there, we brought it back in, and now we have huge problems in America. Yes, we have problems with cocaine, yes, heroin, yes, cannabis. We also have a huge problem, both in America and UK, with prescription drugs. How many of you know somebody who's addicted to prescription painkillers? Yeah. They're all legal. But the other stuff isn't. Which gets me back out to the UK again, I tend to have to we have some of the most draconian drug laws in the country. We arrest lots of people. We give lots of people criminal records. We criminalise the generation of young people for possession of a weed. Now the problem with that is 2015 is the latest statistics I have access to. So in 2015 in Scotland, our great country, 7,000 people died from the effects of alcohol. 13,000 people died from the effects of tobacco. 142 people were killed in the woods. Nobody died from cannabis. You can't get killed by cannabis. You can't overdose on cannabis. But 7,000 people died from the effects of alcohol. But we have a government who support the drinks industry. We have a government who will fall out their offices to go and get a picture taken at the opening of some brewery or distillery or whatever. No one's quite such a hurry to go to tobacco manufacturers because they're really quite uptight with that. But why is that? Why do we ban drugs? People take a drink. How many people on here try a drink? I'm sorry, I'm no order around, I'm just looking. We get a drink and it kills 7,000 people a year. It destroys your brain cells and it makes you feel really quite good for a wee while until you fall over. We've got some terrific information out there about tobacco. If I was talking to you 30 years ago in this hall, I wouldn't be able to see the back 3 rows because there would be a big wall of cigarette smoke across it. So we banned cigarettes, didn't we? No, we didn't. Because why not? It wouldn't work. So what did we do? We passed some very clever legislation. We did some really good education. The percentage of people that smoke now in the UK is down to 22 from 55. We do the same thing with alcohol. So why, if it doesn't work with buying alcohol, tobacco, gambling and all the other things that cause people problems, why do they think banning drugs is going to stop people harming? It's a complete and utter failure. It's a lack of vision and it's driven by money. It's driven by money. Now, I've been involved in, and I started talking about this 10 years ago while I was still a serving police officer. I was one of the few that stood up, put my head above the parapet and said the drug law is only working. The law isn't working. We're beat. And to be perfectly honest, I only had one person come out in public to criticise me. That was a wee man called Jack McConnell who used to be the first person. And he said he couldn't believe that police officers could think in such a way. Where is he now? Anyway, things have changed. All the people I come and talk to you about it do exactly the same as what your doctors do. I call it green room syndrome. Before you go on air, you go into the green room and you all sit there and have a chat about what's on. And you say to them, the law and drugs is lost. And they'll say, you're absolutely right. Never going to win this. Not a chance. And then we go out and the transmit light comes on. And so we need more powers, we need more jails, we need a lot more people up, we need to do this, we need that. They don't have the courage of their convictions. And why do they do that? Because they're scared about the vote. The only way we're going to change this is through legislation in Parliament. And in order to do that, politicians need to understand that there are votes in this. We need politicians to put their heads above the parapet and need to know that when we do that, we won't deserve any votes. Doesn't matter what political party it is, we are not tied into any political party at all, but we'll speak about this someday any chance we get. So we need to change what we're doing. We've been doing that now for 46 years. It hasn't worked. We need an alternative. LEAP as an organisation believe that all the drugs that are currently illegal should be legalised, regulated and controlled. That doesn't mean it becomes a free-for-all. That doesn't mean they become compulsory. That doesn't mean you sell to kids. What it does do is it means that if your choice is that you want to smoke cannabis or heroin or whatever you want to sniff, snort or put into your body through the orifice of your choice, provided you're over 18, you know the purity, the strength, the effect and your responsibilities, then if you want to do that, you should be allowed to do so. If we did that and we stopped the prosecution of these offences, the first thing it would do is take the criminality out of them. At the moment, if you have a drug habit and you want to go for help, you have to tacitly admit that you have been committing illegal offences by buying drugs. Bad news for people at the moment who want to take medical cannabis, if it's prescribed to you, fine. But if you're going to do it privately, the law as it stands under the 1971 Misuse of Drugs Act, Section 5(2), says it's an offence to possess the stuff. It's not an offence to use it, to have it inside you, but it's an offence to actually have it in your hand or in your jacket. So if you pop it in your mouth and swallow it, it's gone, there's no offence. So that's how ridiculous it is.
Depends on how much you've got.
Well, if you've got a bail, you might start shooting for heroin. We need to change it because at the moment, who runs the drug industry in this country?
Barons.
Criminals. These are the people who will decide what it's cut with. What they distill, the people will decide what the purity, the strength and the effect will be. They're the people who will decide if they're going to give it away to your kids outside schools to get them out. That's not a healthy situation. And regardless of what the police say, regardless of what the government says, what we're currently doing to fight it, it's not working. The Scottish Crime and Drug Enforcement Agency in 2009 produced a set of figures which said, if you want to influence and stop and reduce the amount of drugs in this country, you need to disrupt the supply chain of it coming into the country by 85%. That's how much you need to stop coming in before you have an impact. 2009, what did we do? 1%. Not a blind bit of difference. And we identify people, we target people. Who is out to catch? The helicopter flies around the estate with an infrared, and we go to the house, we put the front door in, and we take the tinfoil curtains off. And of course, somebody's rented the house, the electricity meter's been running non-stop for 4 months. And who do we catch? The two Vietnamese immigrants. And they get deported. And we get a big photo opportunity to see all these plants get carried out, way in the van and everything. You know, this is great, or disrupted the drug trade. Because nature of course are lacking, and that dealer's places are placed before we get the van back to the wholesalers. That's how big the industry is. It's worth £6 billion a year. The cannabis industry in the UK, £6 billion a year. Criminals control it, and are very good at it. We have distribution managers, we have lawyers, we have accountants, we have dealers, we have transporters. Every time the police have a successful capture of drug dealers and it goes to the High Court, sitting in the audience of the High Court will be somebody from the drug gang who will be sitting there listening to find out what mistake they made. How they got caught, they won't make that mistake again. We have a terrible attitude towards drugs in the country. Just say no. Right? Biggest example I give people, Berlin prison in Glasgow. Most prisons fall into format, 4 walls, 1 door, 1 way in, 1 way out. Now, if you can't keep drugs out of prison, you're guaranteed that you would agree you get a drug of your choice and go to jail. Without doubt you'll get it. If you can't keep drugs out of prison, how are you going to keep it out of jail? So we need, if you're on board with that, we need to change. One of the things we need to do is look over at America and look at Colorado. 1st of January 2014, Colorado State legalised recreational and medicinal cannabis. So in Colorado, you go to a shop, buy your stuff, go outside, light it up, have your joint, and go. You're not breaking the law, and all of a sudden going to arrest you, wrestle you to the ground, cuff you, administer 1 or 2 kicks more than is necessary because that's what he's on the bar. That's gone. And people out there were convinced of it because people from my organisation, retired and serving police officers, took part in the lobby and said, we need to change this. So we changed it. We're a couple of years on, where are we? The police chief in Colorado was interviewed and said that the first week the sky's going to fall in. It's going to become a drug capital. People can crime is through the roof and all sorts of trouble. So they interviewed him 2 years later and he said, in all honesty, he says, the roof didn't fall in. He says, crime hasn't gone up. The drug use has actually fallen very slightly. We are now employing 10,000 people in the drug industry. We now have people with licenses, people with shops. Tourism has increased because people come to Colorado and have a joint and then surrender it in the bins at the airport before they go to the next state. It's illegal. What did it do? It raised, some target this year to raise $1,000 million. $1 billion in sales of medicinal and recreational cannabis. And out of that, the local government are going to take just over $100 million in tax. They're going to put that in schools, hospitals, and education. And everybody says, that's great. $100 million going to schools, hospitals, and education. Look beyond that. That's on sales of $1,000 billion that didn't go to the black economy, that didn't go to the criminals, that didn't go to the drug lords, that came into mainstream money. Now, somebody's got to explain to me how that's happening. Criminals are going to have time, no getting the same kind of money, no getting put to work. The flaw in the ointment over there in America, apart from the ginger one, is just taking charge and God knows what that's going to do. But because of state law in America, they can sell cannabis because the state's passed law. Federal law says, can you put that money into the bank? So all over Colorado, we have warehouses chock full of dollar bills because people aren't allowed to put it in the bank, which is a ridiculous situation because the crime that's on the increase in Colorado just now is robbing these warehouses. So that consequence. Don't get me wrong, I advocate the legalisation, regulation and control of illegal drugs. It doesn't become a free-for-all. Somebody has to step in and legislate for it so that we take it away from the criminals. Put more money into education, put more money into treatment. But that won't change unless we change it. If we don't change it, if the drugs are not a problem to you, then we could be having this conversation here for 10 years in the future. But 10 years from the future from now, if we don't do anything, places like Mexico might not be the same country that you want today. Remember 6 years ago the government said, don't go to Mexico, we've got some kind of flu. And everybody went away somewhere else. What the government should have said to us, don't go to Mexico, because there's drug wars on the street, fights between the drug barons and the government. And in the last 10 years in Mexico, there have been 70,000 innocents slaughtered in the crossfire, and another 30,000 disappeared. That is the war on drugs. Not your carbonate and broken and your stereo in it. That's the 100,000 people in Mexico killed because the drugs barons are fighting about drugs, drug money. We won't change that unless we actually do something. What we need to do is what we're doing tonight. Is come along here and listen to the arguments. Hopefully be convinced by them. And go away and talk about it. Talk about it among your friends. Don't be afraid to talk about it. Steal all our ideas, that's what we're there for. We need people to understand there's an awful lot of misinformation. And we need to look at it in a different way. The World Health Organization will tell you that 90% of people who come and take illegal drugs don't become addicted. They do it through choice. People like a drink. People like to smoke. People like to bet. And surprise, surprise, a lot of people like a joint. And in Scotland, the last survey tells us that 450,000 people in Scotland are casual cannabis users. But if 450,000 people in Scotland up on the same day and voted, we would have 9 MSPs in the Parliament. We think what a block of 9 MSPs in the Parliament could do to bring about some changes. I know that people from Solidarity are waiting themselves across the street. But that's what we need to do. Or we do nothing. We sit and listen, and lawyer against, and let the drunks, the bad guys, the criminals, run the organisation, carry on. If that's what turns your whole thing, I would like to see the change. I would like to see the people who need help take that help. I'd like to see more money in treatment, more money in education. Portugal decriminalised it 2001, personal possession. And all my pals in the polls that time said, the kind of drugs capital in Europe. It didn't. Crime went up and it went down. Treatment rates went up, use went down. It's still an offence to import it in large quantities, but personal possession is dealt with not as a crime, as a medical issue. You wouldn't lock an alcoholic up, why would you lock a drug addict up? I'm over my time. I tell you that, folks, but I know that you're against it, folks, you can't ask me to feel nothing but hopefully you understand it, I have a passion for it. I think what we're doing currently is wrong, it's not working. I don't see any evidence to support the current laws as they stand as making a difference. What I do see is evidence that they've criminalised a generation, that they have made some bad people very rich, and that they're not making a difference. So we need to change that. We, as Barry said, everybody needs to sign off the same hymn sheet. We need to let people know that we want to change. Those people who are unclear about the change, we need to swing them out to the other side of the argument, which I don't think is that difficult. But as the man said, you know, for evil to succeed, all it takes is good men to do nothing. We need to be that stepping stone. We need to be the people who speak about it. Thanks very much for listening.
That's the first time I've heard him speak, and obviously I'm going to listen again. To be fair, I thought that was absolutely standard, and the answer came up there, it was. We're actually on schedule, John, believe that. Who said I couldn't do that?
Plenty of time for more questions.
We've got 20 minutes left for questions. Obviously we've heard the accounts of the girls here, and then we've subsequently heard Jim, so anything that anybody wants to ask.
Right.
Oh, John, you got a question?
I certainly have, Stuart, if that's okay.
You were right, I had a fun there, weren't you?
It's a question for Jim, if you don't mind. I asked you this the last time I met you, Jim, and it was the current drug laws that now are reserved for Westminster, and I asked you your opinion on drugs being a health issue, which health is reserved or devolved to the Scottish Parliament. Have you any more thoughts on that, and is it possible for our government in Scotland to take action just now without having to get the OK to Westminster?
If you want to change the Misuse of Drugs Act, as you quite rightly say, is reserved for Westminster, and it would take Westminster to change that. What you could do is what the Portuguese did and what the Swiss did, is you can take local decisions and you can run hybrid schemes. The Swiss Prime Minister back in 2002 made the absolutely courageous decision to get the heroin addicts in Switzerland heroin, prescription grade heroin, because they had a huge problem in the centre of Switzerland, the centre of heroin. The heroin addicts lying about the place because of all sorts of problems. So she made the decision to give them medical grade heroin. And since that time, all the people who are on that programme hasn't had a single overdose death from heroin since the start of that programme. What it also allows people to do is it allows people to stabilise their life, to take part in society. The thing you've got to keep in your front of your mind about the drugs laws and the drug problem is we're talking about people, we're talking about lives, we're talking about people's quality of life. We shouldn't be getting blinded by statistics and by government views on various things. It's about people's lives. It's about sometimes the choices they make. Sometimes people make good choices, people make bad choices. But for people who are in a bad situation, the idea is not to throw them in the corner and abandon them. The idea is to try and do something to help get out of that. And that's one of the things that we did. So if we could have a situation where we did an overdose death from heroin in Scotland for 12 or 14 years, I would be delighted. I know from personal experience, the first time I spoke about this was 2005. The Police Federation at a conference once they gave me a spoke there. I spoke about what they call a discussion motion about the legalisation of drugs. The day I went and spoke about it, the drug squad had a raid in the Gorbals and lifted 5 dealers. And the way they went, the following day, those 5 dealers were replaced. In the next week, there were 8 overdoses. Because I've got a heroin problem, so you're my dealer, so I go and see you, I know what I'm getting every week. I get my amount, I need to get my high, and where you go. You get the jail, and come choose, you're my dealer. I don't know what your stuff's like. So instead of buying 1 bag, I'm going to buy 2 just to be the safe side. And I overdose. And that's what happens statistically. You can see overdoses go up when the dealers get taken out. That's nothing, that's not meant to be in place of dealers. And what it should hopefully demonstrate to you is that if we had a legalised, regulated and controlled system, people who are going to buy heroin or cocaine or whatever would go to licensed pharmacies and they would buy a packet and they would know the purity, the strength, the effect. They're like Ron Seal that do exactly what it says on the tin. You could go away and if that's your chosen way to get high, you could do it not complete safety, but far more safety than we've got just now. Because the dealers at the moment can carry sugar, can carry alcohols, choices of those outcomes. So yes, we could do something. The SNP have taken a small step and saying they're going to look at medicinal use in cannabis, which is really welcome. Has to be a first step. That means at least start the first step. And I honestly believe that in the UK it will come about that we will get legalisation of cannabis of some sort. The step towards heroin and cocaine and all the rest of it is a wee bit distant in the future, but we need to start somewhere. So let's start there.
Thanks, Jim.
I just wondered if when we legalise it, would they sell in the chemist shop, or do you need to go to your doctor? Or, how would you?
I suggest that having local dispensaries, so you.
I've got a business plan for this.
My sort of like
Vision is that each council will administer its own, have its own dispensaries basically, and you can get members of the public to stay maybe